Good morning. Good morning. My name is Barbara J. Beckley, and if you're in the place right now, right here, you are on a Friday morning at the Coaches Lounge with myself, Barbara J. Beckley. And I am every Friday I come on, I get excited because this particular platform spotlights, yes, it spotlights coaches, consultants, and educators. And I added some of that because I was looking at different platforms because I have other shows, and I was thinking to myself, what I want to be unique. I want to bring in something different. And I noticed that coaches, consultants, and educators don't really get the love like they should. They don't get that spotlight. You don't get to understand what they do. And when you think about it, they are taking someone like me, someone like you, and saying, okay, I need some help. I need some help in my business. I need some help maybe in my health area. I need some help, personal development. And they come in and they basically come and say, okay, let me guide you. Let me give you some tips. Let me show you some things that I did that worked or some things that I've learned from, and I'm going to give that to you. And I said, I think that would be a good show because I want to spotlight them. And me as being a purpose visibility social media strategist, okay, kind of connects, right? That I want to give that visibility to them. So every Friday I bring on either one or two guests, and I call them basically royalty because they are coming into your world and walking with you, either if it's for a week, a month, or for a lifetime. Because you have those life coaches as well too, that every time you feel like you can't get up, they're going to bring you back up and say, no, you can do it. So they're encouraging and everything. So with that, we have two wonderful guests coming on today. And I call, when I have women come on, I call them queens. And when men come on, I call them kings because I look at them as royalty. And I always say affirmations is good, right? Every day. So I just throw that a little bit back to them to make sure they understand how important they are in this lifetime. And they are, as I always say, a lighthouse to the world and our world changers in everybody's life because they're shining in your life. And that's why I call them those lighthouse. So I'm going to step back because I want to make sure I give them all the time first to really give a background, just a little backstory of who they are. Because one thing I always tell people is really important to understand the stories of an individual, of why they chose what they do, why they chose to go that route. Sometimes it's by accident, sometimes it's on purpose, and sometimes it's just like one day it's like it just came, and now this is what they do in their life. So our first person that I'm going to be bringing up is Mrs. And this is a person basically I love her to death. She's extraordinary in my eyes. She is my mentor. She is my just when we met, and it's been I think 5 years. She'll correct me. When we met, it was amazing because you when you meet a person and you see some things in you that you want to get to a certain thing in your life, and then you see a person that's there, and you're like, oh, I gotta talk to her. I gotta get with her. I gotta see what she did. Please help. And she did that for me in my life. Mrs. LaWanna Bradford, I'm bringing her on the stage. She's a serial entrepreneur and a global leader who is known as and I wanted her to talk a little bit about this. So I love what she's known as is the connector. And she's basically that. She applies the arts of strategy planning with multi-billion-dollar organizations and small businesses. And for over 30 plus years has guided businesses in growth and customer-centric engagement. Now, this is just a small tab of what this woman does. She's an international speaker. She is an author, international author. And not just an author, but I always say award-winning. I'm just going to say. And there's plenty other things that she does. So before we bring her on, we're just going to do this small little caption, and we will be right back so you can know and get to know Mrs. LaWanna Bradford. morning.
Good morning. You must have been digging to find those photos. I'm gonna find them somewhere.
I knew you were going to say that. I said, I'm digging. Well, Miss Lady, this has been a long time coming. This has been a long time coming. You always, and first of all, I give you so much love, and I really want you to just get into what you do because I want people to get to know you even more. But I just want to show you love because you always been in my corner. You always been spotlighting me on your shows and what you do because this woman, she, like I said, she's a jack of all. Well, I hate to say jack of all trades. I don't say that, but she's just a plethora of information, and she has brought me on her shows. We became partners. I mean, there's a whole thing, but it's not about, like I said, me right now. But I just want to just show her the love because I always tell people give them flowers while they're here. So I just want to thank you for being a part of my life and for helping me grow. So, with that said, Mrs. LaWanna Bradford, please, I want to start off by, first of all, letting the audience know how you got into strategic planning and, to remain relevant. I know you can get a little bit into that. So, I just want to give you that floor for a minute.
Sure. Well, good morning and to your viewing audience. Welcome to the Coaches Lounge. Barbara, thank you so much for having me on your platform. I love this show. I just love how you really have a passion to not only spotlight the individuals, but I see it as the key messages to help other individuals level up their game. And you asked about strategic planning. Strategic planning and I have been close friends for many, many, many years, over 30 years to be exact. I was recruited out of college with the presidential intern program, and there did my journey with strategic planning. I guess it really unfolded. I had the opportunity of being over the Eastern region, Korea, Japan, and Germany for the strategic planning development when it came to new technology. And it was manpower standardization. So looking at strategy, looking at the world of technology as it was evolving through a strategic lens, but then taking statistical modeling, because I developed statistical models and developing those to say, okay, if we're going to make these changes, and this goes to that whole repositioning and relevancy, if we make these changes, what does that mean to our operations? What does that mean to how we do business? What does that mean to the current staff that we have on board? Do they have to be retooled, retrained in order to handle this new technology? Will technology replace people? We hear that as, a part of discussion now with, the, I don't want to say the advent because AI has been around for decades, but people are starting to wonder, is AI going to start replacing us? So that, in a quick snippet, is how I got involved in my strategic journey and fell in love with it and have become certified in it. I'm also certified in strategic foresight from the University of Houston. And as your intro said, I work with both with some of the largest government agencies and companies. Have been blessed to work with some of the top consulting firms in the world, and use that knowledge and those techniques to help inform and expand big business. And my heart has also been, Barbara, for small business for a long time. And you and I talk about it, that I believe many small businesses don't see the success that they want because of lack of knowledge. And that lack of knowledge is how to look at your business with a strategic lens. And what does that really mean? And how do you start positioning yourself? It's like this game of chess. And how do you become a master of your chess game? So that's me in a nutshell.
Wow. I love how you're taking all your knowledge that you've been working with the big businesses, like you said, so they can understand how to strategically move in their own world. But then you said, you know what? Let me look at the smaller businesses too. Because, when I always look at it, because I'm use me as an example. I mean, first of all, as a small business, mostly you're everything. When you first start out, you're the payroll person, you're the trainer, you're the salesperson, you're the troubleshooter, you're everything. And sometimes you get so engulfed in all that, you forget that there's a strategy here, and you have to plan it out and like you always say, forecast what's going on, what you want to happen, what's going on in the world, what's irrelevant, what you need to change, and everything like that. So I wanted to come back to you with that, because with the smaller, how do you, and just giving the audience some tips and understanding of how to navigate through that and how you help them do that.
Sure. When it comes to I one of my pain points is individuals who want they attach strategy to everything. I'm a strategist. Well, what does that really mean? And it's really taking, and I like to call it the art of strategic planning, because it is part art and part science and part technical application. And a strong strategist understands the business lanes and nuances that they are in. They're able to look at their business and say, okay, not only from a simple lens, you hear people say, well, this is where you are, this is where you want to be, and this is how you're going to get there. That's strategy in its most simplest elementary form. It is far deeper than that. If it were that simple, everyone would be rocking and rolling in business. But there's elements about it, and that deals with alignment, aligning with your vision, your mission, establishing your partnerships, your resources, um, looking at your business from a balanced scorecard lens. So again, that's your processes and your systems and your finances and your people and your customers. What do all of those lanes look like? And then when you further dissect that, you're looking at all of them in relationships to the strengths, the weaknesses, and opportunities and threats that they bring to the table. And I'm giving you a very quick lesson. And then when you understand that fully and what it means to you today in your marketplace, then you say, okay, what are the areas that I can control and influence? And what are the things that I can mitigate? So you can control and you can amplify your strengths, right? You can leverage opportunities that are out there. You can mitigate your threats, and you can look at how can I offset my weaknesses. From there, that's when you start teasing out your specific strategies and tactics in order to create this scalable and measurable roadmap for success, right? Because all roads can lead to Rome, but your question is, how fast do I want to get to Rome? How much money do I want to invest in going to Rome, right? Do I have the team that I need with me to get to Rome? Now let me overlay this plan, and now I can track my success. Now I can track my growth. Now I can determine if I need to shift. And I don't want to use pivot, because pivot means I'm going another way. But I may need to shift how I'm going to get to that particular destination.
I love how you said, when you said not pivot but shift. So I know that's really a wonderful platform that you have been really talking about being position yourself to be relevant. And I know even through these past years, the whole COVID, okay, throw it out there real quick, but technically, either you could have learned lessons in that area of saying, okay, like you've been hearing a lot of pivot. Well, I'm gonna pivot, I'm gonna turn, all that stuff. Or you can do what you do. Like, okay, I'm here, and then what do I do? Because a lot of people was just like in their business having, some
Yeah,
of them have spaz tags. Like, I don't know what to do now. I mean, I'm
exactly.
shut down, but you can't shut down your business. That just can't happen. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about that, about the,
Sure.
reposition.
Yeah, and I am glad that you're taking this conversation there, because I've been in business for as a serial entrepreneur for over 30 years. I currently have two businesses. So the Bradford Group, which is the mortgage and investment side of the house, we're celebrating 17 years this year. And then I have the consulting side, Bradford Group Consulting, which is in its 13th year. But I want to talk about the consulting side as a way to answer that question. I'm sorry, the mortgage side to answer that question. Everyone has heard of the 2007 2008 mortgage crisis. Many of the individuals who were in business with me at that time, my colleagues, no longer exist. The world was shifting like crazy. We had not in this country experienced anything like that since the Depression. Banks were closing, failing. Our ability to do loans on the residential side was crippled. And I was looking at, everyone saying, well, we're going to have to close our doors. We're going to have to do something else. And I thought, no, we're not closing our doors. We're going to figure out how we're going to survive, how we're going to ride this wave. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you are in business long enough, there are going to be waves that hit your business, hit your industry. Those tsunamic episodes will come. The question is, are you prepared when they do come? Have you already put in your mind these what if scenarios, these contingency plans? And so with us, we said, well, we still believe in the mortgage and what we want to do, but we see what area is hardest hit. So let's shift from the residential side to the commercial side, which wasn't as adversely impacted. Well, we had to quickly, and this is where now an internal pivot is coming. Our direction is the same, but internal, the pivoting was the processes and the products. So we pivoted from residential products to commercial and investment products. And we had to do so at a record speed in order to still be able to meet payroll and to eat and keep a roof over our own heads. And with that, we developed it's a trademark customer reconciliation system. And I continue to use this system to this day, both as a dualpreneur, because a dualpreneur is an individual who is both a W-2 as well as on the other side, but I use it on both lanes of my business. And a customer reconciliation model, the lens enables you to look for and hear the pain points that are out there, whether it's the customer or the pain points, the moans and groans that your industry is experiencing. And then it has already put into place those contingency measures. This is what I'm going to implement should this happen. But you already are looking and so engaged, you're understanding what's the probability, what's the likelihood that it can happen, and how can I safeguard myself. And that's one of the things. That's one of probably my most passionate message. For businesses, especially that solopreneur or your smaller entrepreneurial business, is you really have to develop a strategic lens and a strategic mindset, and not just, I'm doing strategy here. It is a day in, day out way of walking through your business, managing your business, positioning and posturing your business to maximize the likelihood of success.
Yes. And I have to say, this lady, you're talking about a lens and forecasting. I mean, she could just take, and I'm just going to put it out there, she can take anybody, any business you have, if you just tell her like a mission statement of your business, and she can basically in her mind have a full-blown strategic plan for you, how to get to that next level and to stay moving and grooving, like you said, in that business. And that's one of the things, that's why I love to bring on the consultant coaches and educators, as I say, because you have to say to yourself as a business owner, I'm talking to the audience right now, if you are in business, I always say this a lot, is it a hobby or is it a business? You can't afford to be a hobby. Okay, if you want to play in that lane, that's good. If you have the time and the energy and the money, you want to make it a hobby. But if you're saying to yourself, no, this is my business, but you're trying to figure out and navigate, this is what LaWanna's talking about. And then when, like she said, when the falls and everything happens, I always say the earthquakes and floods of life, then what do you do? And this LaWanna just explained how you have to always, not just maybe sometimes a day or tomorrow, but every single day, you have to walk through your business and make sure that you are being relevant.
Yeah, I like how you summarize that, and I want to leave the audience with this analogy. So as Barbara said, things happen, right? The tsunamis, the waves happen in business, and you have a choice. You can choose to be in front of the wave, meaning you saw some indicators that it might be coming, so you've already prepared. I mean, you made your exit, right? You can learn how to ride the wave. So that means the storm is happening. Like 2007, 2008, we were in it. So we learned how to ride the wave. Or you can be overtaken by the wave. Oh my God, crash, burn. And then lastly, you can be on the sidelines saying, huh, there's a wave.
Sorry.
And unfortunately, many businesses are in the latter category when we talk about small business. It's like it overtakes them. They weren't prepared. They don't know how to react. That's when they start pivoting, jump on that pivoting bandwagon, have that chicken little syndrome, the sky is falling, or else the ostrich syndrome, let me put my head in the sand. What way?
Mm.
I'm in denial.
I'm sorry. I like how you put that. Like, what? Oh, LaWanna. But I was just thinking of that. You just got me cooked on that. Wait, what's going on? And denial sometimes is easy for people because they don't want to think about what they got to do or if anything's going on. So yeah, you're right. I'm glad you brought that up. So I want to, before we, because I want to make sure I give you some time to give some last thoughts to the audience. But before that, I want to ask you, because like you said, being reposition yourself as being relevant. So for yourself, what do you, just one little nugget of what you do for yourself? Because like you said, there's a lot of people saying they're business strategists, they're all this going on. But what makes you, which we know already, I know, but I want the audience to know what makes you unique for you to stay in that lane and be that unique person that who you are.
I think the first thing is when you understand your gift, you understand your seat of genius, and being an analyst, and having innately this level of curiosity has allowed me to grow and flourish in that strategic lens. It has allowed me to use my natural gifting and apply that to business. And I often tell people, don't be afraid to toot your own horn. So, yeah, you mentioned that I'm award-winning, best-selling author, but what I'm most proud of is I'm an award-winning um, financial analyst. And when I say award-winning, I'm saying from a federal government standpoint, and I'm also an award-winning strategist. And that means a lot when you think about how tough that industry can be, and to be recognized at some of the highest levels for what I bring to the table. And so the first thing I would tell anyone, wherever you are, own it. That's the first thing, is you got to own it. If you are not tapped in, tuned in, sold out for you, as Abraham Hicks says, if you don't believe in you and what you do, you might as well pack up, put the close sign on your door, and do something else. Because if you aren't there, if you aren't wedded, if you aren't committed to what it is you say is, as Barbara always talks about, your purpose, that bigger why, then why should anyone else be invested in you? Why should anyone trust you to be their guide, to be their mentor, to be their coach? Why? So for me, I am so sold out. I mean, strategy, I live, sleep, eat, and breathe it. It's so natural to me. And as Barbara said, and she said it lightheartedly, but seriously, we've had conversations where she's brought a statement, and next thing you know, an hour later, she has a full-blown, outline of a roadmap on what to do, because the ideas just start to flow so quickly for me. And again, that's me operating in my gifting, paired with the talent, the trained skills and knowledge to now help fuel someone else in business, or your bigger players in the marketplace. So the first thing is own it, speak it, believe it, show up for you. The second is to ask yourself this really important question. This is a lesson my father gave me. He said, find something in life that you'd be willing to do it for free, and you'll never work a day in your life. I want to challenge each and every one of you that are here in business. Do you love it so much that if today someone told you you cannot get paid for what you're doing for 2 years, would you still do it? Would you still do it? I would, because I love it. It's not work. Because it's like when you love something, I may not put a price tag, right? But then the rewards, the blessings, are coming at me another way. The gifts, the offers are coming at me another way. Other doors start opening and you start getting proposals, right? So you may be doing it for free, but suddenly someone's like, wow, Barbara, would you mind coming and speaking on my stage? I've got a $5,000 speaking gig for you. Hey, Barbara, I really love what you talk about. Would you mind coming to our corporate office and helping work with our sales force and what it means about understanding mission and vision and walking purposefully in it? Think about it. She wasn't necessarily marketing a product or service. She's speaking from her passion, speaking from her gifting. And I'm not telling you all stop selling. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm just asking you to ask yourself, how committed are you to what you say you do? Would you even buy from yourself? Mm-hmm. Would you hire you as a coach or a mentor? Would you really? Would you listen to your own advice?
That's so good.
You know, it's just, I think there's just, when it comes to business success, Barbara, I really believe some things are B2B, and I don't mean business to business, back to basics. Mm-mm. It's back to basics. Go to the fundamentals to establish a solid foundation, a solid cornerstone in which to build and grow your business. And don't be afraid to slow the growth down in order to grow right. I'll say it again, slow the growth down to grow right, because sometimes we grow too fast and we don't have the resources, the infrastructure, the staff support to handle it, and we crash and burn. So think about, I think, those three areas.
Wow. Well, I still want to give you the 30 seconds to give some love, because I want to take myself down to give you that floor. So I am going to do that, because I know you have some more things to close up for the audience, and I'll come back and make sure that you know how to connect to this woman. So I'll be right back.
Thank you again, Barbara, and to the listening audience. Thank you for joining us this morning on the Coaches Lounge. You could be anywhere doing anything, and you chose to spend this time with us. So thank you. I don't take it lightly. I just encourage you all that wherever you are in your business, whether you're new, whether you're seasoned, you may be thinking about your exit strategy, right? It's now time for something different. That whatever your journey is, that you do so with excellence, that you don't second guess yourself, that you don't allow the negative thoughts, into other players that are in and around you to try to change and shift and guide. When you know where you're supposed to go and you're committed to that, know that you will get there. But it does take efforting. It does take commitment. It does take dedication, right? Day in and day out, you're on that grind, and you're building and you're scaling, and your goal, whatever your why is. For me, it's to leave legacy. For me, it's to ensure that when I go, the world is a better place. I want to ensure that women, particularly women of color, are positioned so that they have the financial means of sustainability to improve the life of their family, the community, the nation, and the world. So that's my why. That's what keeps me motivated and excited. And then I tap into my gifting. So tap into your gift, know your why, be wedded to it, be committed. You can have intention all day long, I say that, but are you committed to it? And just remember that in life and business, when your vision intersects with opportunity, success is inevitable. Thank you so very much, Barbara. Thank you for having me. I truly appreciate being on the Coaches Lounge.
And you just don't know, this has been a gift to me. And like I said, a long time coming. And this is not going to be the last time you see Mrs. LaWanna Bradford on the Coaches Lounge. So I just threw that in there just to give like an invite back to be on the show. Now, LaWanna, please let them know how they can contact you, lady.
Yes, you can reach me, excuse me, all things social media by my name, LaWanna Bradford, or on Instagram, the LaWanna Bradford. And you can definitely go to our website at bradfordgroupmtg.com. That's on the mortgage side of the house. And I would just want to give you all a gift. You can go to bit.ly, bit.ly. Hopefully Barbara can put this in the chat. bit.ly/change my credit. Again, bit.ly/change my credit. And it's a free download, little mini guide that you can look at in your life and business, things to improve your credit, things not to do so that you have sustainable credit, and realizing that credit is everywhere. We're not going to escape it, whether it's your personal credit, your business credit. Individuals are looking at your credit to determine how worthy are you even to be an employee, right? When you're looking at certain jobs, partnerships. So again, I just want to give that as a gift to you and to anyone who downloads that guide. One, a member of our team, if you, and it's optional, if you put your phone number, a member from our team will reach out to you, and you get a 20-minute R3 session with me. That's reposition to remain relevant session with me. It's going to be fast paced. It's going to be intense, but I guarantee you in that 20 minutes, you're going to walk away different.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Oh boy, did I freeze up? Looks like awesome. A little frozen there. We will make sure that we get that bit.ly out there on the caption of the show to make sure you can reach out to LaWanna. Everything like she said on social media, and also if you like, okay, I didn't get a chance to write it down, reach out to Barbara Beckley, and I'll make sure that I get to LaWanna for you. So I always say that there's no excuses why you cannot do that. Oh, okay. Before we go, thank you so much. See, my producer in the background is helping me out here. I want to make sure that we get this down so you can reach out the bit.ly that LaWanna stated. And I'm just going to show that real quickly. Just give us a minute here because, like I said, this is about visibility for my lovely guests. And there you go.
Definitely sign up for that. I mean, download it. It's, and just know that if you do put your contact information, we'll reach out and get 20 minutes of R3 time with me.
Amazing, yes. So with that said, everybody, again, this is the Coaches Lounge with myself, Barbara J. Beckley, with the wonderful LaWanna Bradford. You heard her story, you heard her passion, you heard her lane of genius. Now, what I'm going to ask, not tell, suggest that you reach out to this lady if you know that you need help within your business and you see the credibility she has. You see the credibility she has. No question about it. So thank you again, LaWanna, and we will see you soon.
Thank you, Barbara. Bye, everyone.
See, I told you I have royalty on my show. And Miss LaWanna, thank you again for coming on the Coaches Lounge. Truly appreciate you. She is amazing. And like I said, please reach out to her and use that bit.ly. I always tell people, use the resources that they're giving you. There's a reason for it. So please reach out to do that. And again, I'll make sure that it's posted as well. We did put it. I'm so glad that my producer put that down there, but we will make sure that it is out there for LaWanna and for you to reach out. Now we're going to go another direction and we're going to go talk to a king now. That was the queen. Now we're going to get to the king and this wonderful, wonderful. Oh, I couldn't when he came and I was like, oh, he signed up. He's coming on the show, Mr. Robert. And I know him I know he's in Toastmasters in the Toastmasters organization. Not just that, but see, I tell people, you never know who you're going to meet when you're in certain organizations, certain networking. So that's a little tip. Go to these networks, if it's in person or if it's online, because you never know the golden nuggets or the people in your life that's going to come in your life and be this amazing person to say, wow, I learned from you, or wow, you're doing something. Let me see what they're doing. Well, Mr. Robert Snyder, he's an innovator. educator. He basically works with professionals to raise the personal value in their lives, in the workplace, the morale, project success rate. Who doesn't need that right now, especially with the morale? I mean, in fact, I'm thinking about he need to come into my world where I work at during the day in my corporate and kind of talk to all the leaders and just put them all together and say, okay, let's have some fun here because I need to help you. And he has his own business. He's a founder and president of his own company that he does all this wonderful togetherness. He's working on I know he told me he's working on a big project on his book. So that's going to be, I know that's going to be, I can't wait till that come out. But we want to talk to him more about what he does innovation wise and what he does with his own business. And he's a speaker. Like I said, lots. Like I said, when you're royalty, you do a lot. But what the nice part about it is, as being that communicator, that leader, that speaker, that innovator, you're a lighthouse to the world because people are watching you and they can learn and grow from you. And that's what Robert does for people. So before again I bring on royalty, I got to make sure I do it right. And we will hear this wonderful, um, this world changer about what he does. Mr. Robert.
Hi there, Barbara. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too, sir. Very excited for you to be on the Coaches Lounge with me.
Delighted to be here.
Yes. So I want to start out first, like I said, by thanking you. And I want to really, like I said, because this is not about me. I always have to do this. As a speaker, I have to really do a lot of this because it's about my guests. It's not about me. So with that, Robert, I want you, before you go into some tips and things that you do when you're helping others, is give a little backstory on how you just, kind of started in the lane that you're in.
Okay, sure. Thanks. 30-year career in project management, innovation, and the performing arts. And over the last 10 years of my career, I started drawing conclusions about what's healthy and what's not healthy in the world of project management, innovation, and teamwork. And then I attended a webinar in 2018 entitled, "Do You Have a Book in You?" And I concluded, I probably do. And the challenge was, just like you can't take it to the grave, meaning money, you can't take your talent to the grave. And I concluded that my talent, my unique genius, is cross-pollinating certain metaphors, especially the performing arts. But there are metaphors that I weave together to shape cultures of discipline and empathy. Because all companies, whatever your level of discipline is, you need more. You're going to profit if you dial up your discipline. And all companies, regardless of your current level of empathy, you're going to profit more when you dial up your empathy. So the combination of discipline and empathy, I call elegance. And I'll contrast that with messiness, or this acronym VUCA, which stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And so my book and my consulting practice aims to shape cultures for discipline, empathy, elegance. So I'll pause there as a start.
Well, first of all, I love how you're taking the discipline and empathy, because I don't think that's a good spin compared to, the regular, what I hear, especially because I'm taking my corporate job here right now, because I do that on during my daytime job. And empathy is never really stated a lot. Discipline, yeah, sometimes, but empathy is like totally kind of pushed aside in a little corner somewhere. And I think you bringing that out and showing that to people, that is so important. Like you said, to, grow out. I love how you said that.
Empathy, some people will label it as soft, charity. And because empathy is not mandatory, when a company has great empathy, I think it's fair to call it a competitive advantage.
Mm.
And empathy requires collaboration with your customer, with your employees, even with sometimes your opponent. Let's sit down, compromise, collaborate. So empathy is a competitive advantage. And as the world turns more hyper competitive, well, what is the frontier of profitability, love, productivity? It's having a collaborative advantage. So imitating a symphony, imitating a dance couple,
Mm.
right? I think these are powerful metaphors to shape empathy and make sure, hey, after the audition, clarinet, don't undermine the saxophone player. Soprano, don't undermine the alto. Because we're after the audition. There's a time and place for competition of
Mm.
ideas. And then there's a time and place for the collaboration of people. You can be aggressive with process, gentle with people, and the nature of business today requires both.
Mm. I love how you did that because we're in a time where competition is just like whoosh. To the point where people like, okay, we got how many people on this planet, and everybody's just—it's like a fight to the death. It's like, oh my god! I sometimes stand back and say, hey, have it, you can have it, you know. But I love how you said that, Robert, about that. And then I love how you're right. This is basically an asset if you throw in empathy, because like you said, people say, well, you're soft, you're this and that, and they don't look at, they see not the strength in it, but there's more strength in it than what they don't even understand when you do show the empathy, because you're dealing with people. See, that's what I keep telling you. Dealing with people. I mean, I'm thinking my own business too. I always talk about building relationships. That's the number one thing I always think about before they become a client. Is I have to build that relationship. I hate when people get on, and I'm just gonna put it out there real quickly. On LinkedIn, you got the messenger, and somebody says, "Hey, my name is such and such, and I have this to sell to you." And I'm like, "You don't know who I am. Did you look at my bio? Do you even think that I need this, or would this help me in what you read, what you didn't read?" So that just really is just one of my like pet peeves, and I tell myself I never want to do that, because I do need to show that build that relationship and show what their needs are.
When people know you care, they feel safe,
Mhm.
trust is there, the work can go faster, higher quality, and your stakeholders can grasp who is this person ambitious on behalf of. It's one thing to put on your oxygen mask. Every flight attendant everywhere tells us, before you help others, make sure your own oxygen mask is on first, because when you're dead, you're not good to anybody. So absolutely be ambitious on behalf of yourself for your oxygen mask. But at some point, the people you work with, they want to know that you are ambitious on their behalf.
Mm.
And the opposite extreme is narcissism. Uh, market of one. Ain't nobody got time for narcissism. The narcissist will continue to start losing in the marketplace.
Mhm.
We just have to have the right frameworks and metaphors and habits and language so that we are imitating a symphony.
Mhm.
And we know exactly what progress looks like. There's that cliche about there's a difference between productivity and activity. Um, and the language, the words we choose can help us stay focused for discipline and stay focused for empathy. But it starts with, do you care? Who do you care about?
Yeah.
And do they know? Can they tell?
Yeah, definitely. Now, Robert, I was going to ask you now, when you are working with individuals or companies, what is like the first step that you take? Because I mean, like I said, this is powerful concept that you have that, like I said, a lot of companies should be looking at this more clearly. So, what kind of first step that you take to let them know that this is something that you offer, or something that they know that they need, but they might not know, they might not understand.
Step one is listen. Let customers get their concerns, their points of pain. Ms. Bradford, your previous guest, I was madly taking notes because she had dozens of great points, and her world and my world overlap quite a bit. The first step is to listen. understand your customers' perceptions of what their points of pain are. What do they what do they feel is going well? What do they think could be improved? That would be my first two steps. Listen and understand their perception, their self-awareness, and whether I would agree to say, yeah, I think their self-awareness is pretty healthy. Their humility there? How safe do I feel giving them the tough love? Or saying, hey, by the way, here's where I think the first blind spot or the path of least resistance might be for you to crawl, walk, run to better habits.
Yeah, I like that. Because I was just thinking that would help a lot, like you said, within what you do too, is like the workplace morale. And I think if you pinpoint, where you need to, like you said, put that information to them, I think that's going to help a lot. Because I was just thinking about today, the workplace morale is a little bit different than it used to be, especially with our little COVID that came in the play. They're talking about this is like the biggest, people are just leaving, period. I mean, it's like they found their genius and their purpose, and they're like, why am I really here? Or do they really care about where I want to go within this company? Or I've been going for this position for 20 years and still they haven't even picked me. Well, I'm gone. So a lot of companies are losing a lot of good talent. So that, how would you, with that going on, how would you kind of help the company with that?
What comes to my mind as I listen, Barbara, the first is that the cliche, nothing will change until the status quo is more painful than the transition.
That's good.
That can apply to, changing apartments, changing where you live, changing who your significant other is. It can be changing jobs, changing boundaries between people where a relationship may not be the healthiest. So that's where my mind first goes. Second place, as I listen, Barbara, is the word options, alternatives. Being able to walk away from a dysfunctional or an unhappy job or a toxic work environment, that is powerful. I grew up in Central Illinois where the we versus them at a certain Central Illinois employer, management versus union. And my childhood friends' dads who were working there, they were all concerned about job security. Well, then, and especially now, why does anyone put much weight on job security? I mean, you can talk about company viability and robustness and a company's prospects, but job security, to prioritize job security at the expense of career security, bad idea. You have to invert that. And everyone has a selfish but a healthy motive. Be ambitious on behalf of your family to, if you're a breadwinner in your family, you got to choose career security over job security. And just like Ms. Bradford mentioned, when the waves of change come, you can build a sandcastle, you can grab your surfboard. Or the other cliche is when the winds of change come, some build walls and others build windmills. Right? So self-awareness of how fragile is your job, how fragile is your career. And if it feels fragile, you better take steps to make it more robust and resilient.
That's good.
Yeah, that's where my mind goes. Just options. Vulnerability that's another buzzword recently. Being vulnerable on your own terms, being vulnerable and I'll stick with vulnerability. Vulnerability on your own terms, awesome. Vulnerability at someone else's terms,
Yeah.
So that's an important distinction, I think. When thought leaders of the world tout vulnerability, humility, being a good listener, being impressionable, those are all great, but a backbone is also, backbone, boundaries, and the ability to walk away everyone needs that safety valve for if and when they find themselves in a toxic environment.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like how you said, because I mean, I was grown in my years of when I was growing up. My mother, especially my mother, she would always say, job security. Whatever. I like, well, Mom, I don't like this. I really don't like. I don't care what you like, Barbara. You need to stay on that job. You need to stay there until you retire. You need to. I mean, it was that this was granted in me, and I was like, I'm losing myself. I was in my mind, it's like, I don't like this, but I gotta stay there because she told me I gotta. But I love how you said, you have to. It's career security. It's what you really want, and I think a lot of people have been coming to their, like you said, to that point to say, I'm not liking this no more. You do talk about vulnerability. It takes a lot to, like you said, step off and jump, and a lot of people have been doing that, and some of them been falling really nice. Some of them, we're all gonna have those issues and challenges because that's part of life. But if you don't even try to do it, that to me, that's really sad. And like you just said, Robert, you can't take your talents to the grave. I mean, it's just, no, you have too much. You have too much. I have too much. We all to sit there and be, just kind of on the sidelines or just say, no, I better not. Don't want to make that decision right now, because of security reasons. Yeah, love it. But I want to just say before we basically tell them how to contact you, because I really want everybody to make sure they know how to contact you, because you are really talking some information that's needed. I love where you're going down the road of helping people, especially when it comes to that, being just understanding people, just having some empathy. We're missing that right now. I mean, I can shout that to the rooftop. So I'm glad that you are on that, and that's your creative genius that you're telling people. I want to make sure I give you some time for some last thoughts for the audience, and I'm going to come back up and take myself down, and I'll come back up, and then we can close out for you, and they can see how they can contact you as well.
All right. Thanks again, Barbara, for having me. My parting thoughts for your viewers: discipline and empathy are really competitive advantages for your team. All big successes in the world consist of 1,001 small successes, small acts of discipline, small acts of empathy. And I think that the metaphors of a factory, a conveyor belt of collaboration is a healthy metaphor for teams to collaborate and compete. Competition of ideas, collaboration of people. And the other metaphor that I like to promote is the performing arts. The performing arts have amazing audience centricity, also known as customer centricity. And the performing arts give teams the ability to really intelligently place when is competition the right and the smart thing to do? When is collaboration the right and the smart and the profitable thing to do? So when you are reflecting on the health of your team, the productivity and the profitability of your team, please consider the metaphor of a factory, because it's about speed, quality, waste, focus, discipline, and think about what it means to imitate a symphony. Listen, balance, harmonize, pacing yourself for that go live event, and pacing yourself through each and every song that your ensemble prepares and performs for your audience. So those would be my parting comments. For discipline and empathy, imitate a factory and imitate any of the performing arts. And together, amazing discipline, amazing empathy is a recipe for success, profitability, and a wonderful employee experience.
Amazing, amazing. I love the afterthoughts for my guests. So, Robert, thank you so much for leaving that, like I said, golden nuggets and just understanding that in that area. And also, I put down Robert's information on his LinkedIn. Now, Robert, is there any other way they can contact you? Because I want to make sure that they get that information from you.
I think LinkedIn is the best way. I'm a solopreneur at the moment. You can find me at innovationelegance.com. There are blogs and videos if you want to, just one baby step to consume what I'm putting out there. And if you'd like to find me on LinkedIn, Robert Snyder, Snyder. Would love to hear from your viewers if they have more to share or respond or ask related to innovation, project management, change management, how the arts matter, teamwork, collaboration, empathy.
Yes. Yes, I love it. So Robert, we're going to have to, I'm going to throw this out here, have to have you back, sir. Especially, we haven't even dug into the other item that you do, like the project management. I mean, it's a whole nother conversation. So I would love to have you back on the Coaches Lounge when you have a chance. And thank you again. Viewers, as you see, there's a contact information below. Also, if you are like, okay, I didn't really get to hear that, reach out to me. I always tell people I am that informational person to give you those coaches, educators, and consultants that are coming on the show. So, Robert, thank you again so much. I wish you many, many success. And like I said, it's not the last that we will see you doing what you do. And I really encourage everybody. His book is in the making. It's going to be coming. So be ready. And we will bring him. I'm going to ask Rob to come back on so we can talk more about that once that becomes, that New York Times seller. I'm putting it out there. Robert.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Barbara. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you.